By the time you eat a piece of meat, you're eating about 40 times the chemicals you could possibly be getting if you eat an orange that got sprayed. Planting fruit trees makes more sense than a field of grain ever possibly could.
Mm,
I'm going to tell you, imagine being in a field of mango as big as Kansas. You might never leave.
mm.
But if you were in a field of wheat the size of Kansas, you would starve before you could get out. You couldn't walk out and, you can't eat wheat. Makes you sick.
Yeah, yeah.
Trees produce so many good things. Trees bring nutrients up from the subsoil. Yes, there's some spray on the ground, and I understand that, but trees, they're not getting their nutrients off of the soil, the topsoil. They're deep down. They're getting nutrients out of rocks and subsoil that's well down below. Fruit's a cleaner fuel all the way around.
Without further ado, everybody is chiming in as people continue to start. We welcome to Grand Round, September 2023. And it's with great pleasure I have to introduce to you family and friends and the like, Dr. Douglas Graham. Dr. Graham's a lifetime athlete and raw fooder since 1978. As an advisor to world-class and motivated athletes and trainers from around the globe, he's worked professionally with top performers from almost every sport and every field of entertainment, including such notables as legend Martina Navratilova, NBA pro basketball players Ronnie Gladison, Michael Porter Jr., track Olympic sprinter Doug Dickinson, pro women's soccer player Callie Withers, championship bodybuilder Kenneth G. Williams, and Chicken of the Soul co-author Mark Victor Hansen and actress Demi Moore. A lot of names I know. Dr. Graham is the author of many books on the health and raw food, including the 80-10-10 diet, the high energy diet recipe guide, nutrition and athletic performance, brain damage, prevention and care of athletic injuries, and his latest is Perpetual Health 365. He has shared his strategies for success with audiences at more than 4,000 presentations worldwide, recognized as one of the fathers of the modern raw food movement. He will inspire, motivate, educate, and entertain you like no one else in the health movement can. Doug, welcome to the community, and thank you very much for coming and sharing your wisdom.
Well, thank you so much. First of all, I want to say it's a treat to be here. So I started out just like everybody else. I mean, I ate a pretty much a standard American diet. We ate reasonably well. My dad grew up on a farm. My mom grew up in the city. We had a garden. I lived in New Jersey, the Garden State during the summertime. You could always stop at a farmer's market and get food, but health food never occurred to me, certainly. And I ate my weight in meat every year, and I ate my weight in dairy probably every month. And I had all the childhood problems that everybody else had. I was so sick as a 4-year-old that they weren't going to let me out of kindergarten because I didn't attend enough days. I was just a sick kid, and I was very athletic. It never occurred to me that anything was wrong. I just always had a runny nose. I was always stuffed up. It's just how it was. And by the time I was 5 and they took out my tonsils, and then I started really getting sick, and I remember having mumps. I remember having 105 plus temperature. Everything you could get, I got. I got chicken pox when I was 2, and I remember having whooping cough at around 7. And I mean, I just measles and mumps and everything you could get. Really, when I look back on it, I count myself very, very fortunate I survived.
Wow.
Be honest, I count myself fortunate I survived. My mom switched to Weight Watchers, and which meant that every dinner started with either fruit or a salad. Those are your choices. You start with fruit or salad. So that got kind of ingrained into me by the time I was in middle school and high school. We always started dinner with either fruit or a salad, and that seemed to make sense. I didn't argue that. So I got interested in health. I remember all my teachers' names from 3rd grade to 8th grade that taught health, and then high school, and they all said one thing. They said fruits and vegetables are good for you. They said a bunch of other stuff, but everybody said fruits and vegetables are good for you. I was a health and phys ed major in college, took every nutrition course offered, all the way through my medical training, 4 years of chiropractic training. I took chemistry or nutrition, whichever they cared to call it at the time, every single semester and every course they offered. Nutrition just fascinated me, and my eyes started opening. And I attended a lecture in 1980 from this guy who put a whole bunch of weird facts together as a coach for gymnasts. The fact that he put these weird, seemingly unconnected facts together, like every quarterback in the NFL at the time had blue eyes and weird little bits and pieces, right? The top 300 gymnasts in the world, none of them are firstborn children. You know, if a kid comes to you and says, I want to be a world-class gymnast, like, aren't you going to ask them if they're firstborn? Because the odds are against him. You know, moms really protect the firstborn. It fascinated me enough that I said, you know what? I need to be able to grasp a lot of seemingly unconnected information and put it together and see what I come up with. And sometimes you come up with nothing. But sometimes you come up with something like this. All the long-lived people in the world seemingly have nothing in common. They each have their own little thing, except they all eat a relatively low-fat diet compared to the rest of the world. And then we look at the fastest runners in the world and the Kenyans. The Kenyans running team, they're not vegan, they're not raw, but they eat a relatively low-fat diet, almost all carbohydrates. The overwhelming majority of everything I learned in school taught me that fruits and vegetables are good for us. In fact, that fruits and vegetables are better for us than anything else we could possibly eat. They're always listed as health foods around the world, and there's a reason you get better on juices. It's not because of the juices. It's because you stop eating everything else. You stop eating the things that make you sick, you get well. And every farmer has relied on that since the beginning of time. Every animal that's ever been raised. How do you grow a prize hog? Well, you give it everything it needs. You nurture it. We rely on this when we raise our kids. We nurture them into healthy living. We nurture them into positive growth. Oh, Dad, can I smoke and drink like you? No, it'll stunt your growth and development. We nurture our kids. We give them everything they need. And I'm thinking, wow, you know, like if fruits and vegetables are the best thing for us, what would happen if the only thing I ate was fruits and vegetables to the exclusion of everything else? And I knew I was onto something. Two ways. One, the results, which I'll tell you about in a minute. But two, everybody got very, very upset with me and said, that won't work. If an apple a day keeps the doctor away, what happens if I just eat apples? I mean, like, something really good should happen. And I looked around and I found out that every animal eats one food at a time when they're hungry till they're full. It's like, wow, one food at a time when they're hungry till they're full. Or they run out of food, or they get chased off the food, or whatever. But as long as they've got available food, they'll just sit down and throw a pile of bananas, a pile of oranges, doesn't matter what it is. Sit under the mango tree. We'll eat mangoes all day till till there's just no more to give on that tree. Then we move on. So I started doing homework for 10 years, and pieces of the puzzle started coming together. And this is what I found out. I found out that in a teratogenic substance or a teratogenic influence is one that doesn't apparently affect your health adversely, but it affects that of your offspring or theirs even as many as 7 generations down the line. And teratogens are found in all cooked foods. I said, I wonder what other gen kind of things are found in, gen meaning the origin, right, the beginning. What other kind of gens are found in cooked food? And what I found out was there's these things called tumorigens. Cooked food supplies us with tumorigens, the very essence, the beginning of where our tumors come from. And then tremorigens. And we know that cooked foods contain tremorigens. And many of the tremors that human beings experience, it's not a good thing to be having uncontrollable tremors. I don't want to show it because I'm not making fun of anybody, but tremors are never good. Neither teratogens, mutagens, tumorigens, tremorigens, none of these things are found in raw foods, only in cooked foods. All the animals built like us, eat a low-fat diet. All the long-lived people, eat a low-fat diet. All the world's top performers in sport, eat a low-fat diet. People who study cancer found out that cancer cells don't like an oxygen-rich environment, and the more fat in our diet, the lower the oxygen levels in the blood. When I started eating raw food, my memory came back. My vocabulary came back. My ability to recall words came back. My energy went through the roof. All of a sudden, I'm needing 2 less hours of sleep every night than I used to need on cooked food. I found controlling my weight became the easiest thing in the world. It was almost effortless. What became a factor is, does my food love me as much as I love it? I mean, how long would you stay with a person who hurt you every night? That relationship is doomed. But how long are you going to stay with food that hurts you every night? I couldn't do it and try to be an athlete and try to be as self-constructive as possible and look myself in the mirror and look my patients in the eye. I just go, I got to eat fruits and vegetables. I got to find a way to make this work. Fortunately, the pattern was already out there. The pattern was eat enough carbohydrates so you're happy, keep your fat relatively low. Everybody in the world eats about 10% of their calories from protein, except the people eating protein out of a can. So pretty much everybody eats about 10% protein. There's a few people whose diet is so meat-centric that they go into the teens, but pretty much most people eat right around 10. 9 to 11 is considered the worldwide average. So I go, I'm not even going to mess with protein. We're not even going to look at that, because if I eat a diet of just fruits and vegetables, I'm still getting 8-9% of my calories from protein. So that's not an issue. It's just swinging the seesaw a little bit to favor carbohydrates a lot more, favor fats a lot less. And the only way I'm going to do it with raw food is to eat more fruit. So to answer your question from the beginning, how do we succeed? We eat more fruit. We eat so much fruit that you can make a meal of it for breakfast. We eat so much fruit that you can make a meal of it for lunch. Most people don't care about that meal all that much anyway. So we can kind of get through breakfast and lunch and just eat fruit all you want, unlimited quantities. Enough fruit at breakfast to hold you till lunch, enough fruit at lunch to hold you till dinner. That's a learning process. It's a lot more fruit than you think it is. Lovely part about it. It's more volume. You get to eat more.
Doug, thank you very much. This is a very impressive presentation. You spoke from the heart, the brain, the soul. I think every
Oh,
ounce.
bless. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And we will invite you on again.
I would love to come back. I really love to come back. I'll tell you so many more parts of the story. And I got to say also, thank you. First of all, thank you for having me. I look forward to sharing the link. So I'll let all my people know about this interview. And at the same time, I love talking with medical people. I invite medical people. I say, look, if I say anything that's medically unsound, please just stop me right here. Like, expose me to the public, because I went to medical school too. My specialty was chiropractic, but it's still medicine.
The unfortunate thing in my medical experience that most of what they taught us in medical school is medically unsound, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, that's an issue too, isn't it? But there's bits and pieces.
Yep. There's bits and pieces. Well, this has been great, guys. Thank you very much for hanging out with us tonight. Till next time.
It's a real treat for me. Thank you, Doc.
Great treat. So y'all have a great night. And don't feel guilty about eating a piece of fruit tonight. You've heard it from the...
For sure.
Everybody have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.